Hello, kia ora, g'day, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your Australia-only forecast through until Thursday of next week, including your 7-day rainfall, recorded on Thursday the 29th of May. Let's kick off with the satellite map plus the rain radar. So the radar is areas in green, so you can see these downpours moving around parts of Queensland as the system's been moving from west to east over the past few days. The further south you go, where you see the blue and the yellow shading, that is more likely to be cloud, not necessarily with rain or isolated showers, thunderstorms, because the further south you go, the more you're running into high pressure. So a lot of that could be high cloud the further south you go. Jump over to the west coast, down around Perth, you got some rain and showers coming through there as well, with another low pressure system off the west coast. Let's have a look at the situation for today. So you can see this very powerful high. That is the most dominant feature of Australia's weather at the moment. It is sending up a slightly cooler southerly all the way up to Queensland. That's part of the reason you're also seeing some of those showers moving through. And then on the other side of it, low pressure, obviously here in the dark shading off the west coast, down the southwest coast. So these are changing the weather as everything moves along eastwards over the coming days. So we'll try and break it down for you. Here we are on Friday, high pressure in control once again to the south here of Adelaide and stretching out towards the Tasman Sea. There are some showers in the southwesterly flow coming in for the west coast of Tasmania and brushing coastal parts of Victoria. Doesn't look like very much though. The further you go up the east coast, this is the cooler airflow coming in south to southeasterly, coming around that big high. And so that's encouraging further as you move into sort of more tropical airflows, some of these rain bands. And like I say, this line of convergence around parts of Queensland could see some heavy falls, maybe some thunderstorms in there, just like over on the west coast. We've already seen a few isolated thunderstorms today, but this line here could spark more of them as we go through to Friday, right along the western side. So if you need some rain, good luck. The northerly winds are picking up here, southern parts of Western Australia, but light winds for many other places and pretty dry up in the top end at the moment. Stays that way going into the weekend. In the far north of Queensland, not seeing much. Inland areas very dry around Alice Springs, but those heavy downpours stay again from about the northern rivers all the way up to almost Mackay. They probably fade out after that. They could still be heavy, but just not as widespread. Heavier stuff basically from Rockhampton down towards Grafton, even further south than that. But the high pressure zone is the most dominant feature, and the low near Perth drops south. But the wet weather still remains. Westerlies and southwesterlies coming out of the Indian Ocean area, and that will spark showers and thunderstorms going all the way in past Kalgoorlie. So watch out for that thundery weather going through into Saturday here and there. Here is Sunday. Look at the next big low coming through to Western Australia. We've got a few showers around, possibly heavy as we go through the day. On the eastern side, high pressure now exiting out over the Tasman Sea. We've still got rain stuck around the northern rivers going up to about Brisbane, and that's really about it. Elsewhere, just the usual showers, maybe some thunderstorms in the mix, but a lot of dry weather extending out right across Australia as we end the weekend. Next week, where you see the blue around New South Wales, inland parts of Queensland, those could be some showers that become heavy as we go through the day, so keep an eye on that. Still seeing some wet weather hugging around Brisbane, the Sunshine Coast, and further up around Rockhampton. Not a lot of rain though elsewhere, and I'm sorry to say Victoria once again and South Australia once again seeing a lot of dry weather in the forecast, as is a big portion of Tasmania for a time, because there is a change developing here. A small low pressure system just off the western side of Tasmania could help drive in some rain, but obviously the main low off from southern Western Australia, and that's where we're seeing rain and showers coming through, and I think we will see some widespread thunderstorms moving in from that system as it comes on in. So showery weather, westerly winds blowing through here on Tuesday, all the way along that west coast, from Port Hedland to Carnarvon, all the way down to Albany. We're getting those showers coming in off the sea, and then they could become a sort of a thundery downpour for those of you further inland. Similar story around New South Wales and parts of Queensland. There could be some heavy thundery falls in the mix. And down in the south here, the southeast, that's a cold change zipping on through. So wintry weather returns on Tuesday to Tasmania and brushes the coastal parts of Victoria. Some rain relief in there, not necessarily huge amounts, but a little bit of rain relief coming through on Tuesday next week. Lord Howe Island getting some wind and rain from the next low that is forming in the Tasman Sea. Already got one today moving to New Zealand. Another one next week developing out here. Might bring some rain over to Norfolk Island as well. On Wednesday, we'll go back to the south here where that colder change is moving in. This now comes into Victoria, mostly east of Melbourne, and then coming in right around the ACT and up to about Sydney. So you will feel on Wednesday next week, if this map proves to be accurate, which it should do, but sometimes the timing can go out a little bit, but you are seeing the southerly coming in with what we would call a wintry change. You might get some snow on the Australian Alps again and around the tops of Tasmania. Southerly winds are going all the way up the New South Wales coastline. They fade out in Queensland. We've got a few more coastal showers, Mackay to Cairns, not much else going on. I'm certainly not talking much about the top end in recent videos because it is very dry now, back into the dry season, of course. And look around Port Hedland, chance of thunderstorms here and some big downpours the middle of next week. And again, right across Western Australia, chance of those showers, maybe thunderstorms, the wettest of the weather from Perth to Albany once more as that next low rolls on through. The good news for those that need rain in the south is as we go into the later part of next week, we're optimistic we'll see some wet weather coming through. But you got to note that these are northerlies blowing around Adelaide and over to Port Lincoln. So we're not necessarily seeing a lot of relief for those that need it, but there's some in there. Now the placement of low pressure could easily change. It could drop much further south. That drags the rain away with it, but it may also come in closer to land. So there's still a bit of a question mark about where we're going next week, and more of those cooler southerlies carrying on along the eastern side. This big southerly coming out into the Tasman. So Lord Howe Island will certainly feel that temperature drop. So will Norfolk as that all moves on through. So a bit of variety in the maps. That is good news for those that need rain in particular. Speaking of rain, 7-day rainfall map for you to give you an idea of where that wet weather mostly is. So certainly Western Australia seeing some good rainfall totals all the way along, as I say, from Port Hedland right down to Albany, getting some decent rain, could be 100 millimetres or more around Perth southwards as we go through the following week. The next area of heavy rain is sort of coastal parts of Queensland and coming in around the northern rivers. That's where we're seeing those easterlies and southeasterlies blowing through. A few thundery falls around Queensland and around inland parts of Western Australia. But the rest of Victoria, South Australia, just sort of showers really. Best chance for rains right over here in the border on the southeastern corner. And Tasmania should get some good rain, but again, more populated areas like around Lonnie, you might only be getting 5 millimetres in a week. That's not a lot at all. So not necessarily huge amounts of rain, but some rain in the forecast there for you. All right. Here's today's flight sim from inside a helicopter, so it's bumping around a bit more. Surface paradise in Queensland, annual rainfall over 1,200 millimetres, actually that's similar to Auckland in New Zealand. Temperature-wise coming up 19 to 25 degrees, overnight lows 13 to 16, cooler south to southeast winds, and the best chance for getting some of that rain Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday in the form of showers for the most part. I hope you're enjoying this. Also, I want to say hello to Sharon Manning. She sent me an email the other day from Narranwood. Now, I hope I said that correctly, which is not far from the Gold Coast. A hi to Scoobs. They're laying concrete Tuesday next week. Fingers crossed it's looking good. Those showers should clear up around Monday, but you never know. One might linger into Tuesday next week, but some dry weather on the way for those of you around the coastal parts of Queensland, but we've got some wet weather coming up first. That is all from me. Before I go, a big thank you to the Green Hand, who has been very helpful over the past couple of weeks. There's been more praise for the Green Hand than me, so that says something. So we'll bring this guy back at some point. But yeah, thank you again for all the comments, the support. It's been really good being back on screen this week. Have yourselves a great rest of your week. We'll catch you again next week. We have no video on Monday. It is King's birthday in New Zealand, so we'll probably do one on Tuesday of next week instead. We'll see you then. Have a great weekend.